Hey there, coin collectors. They say, old is gold, and when it comes to Washington quarters, that couldn't be truer. Some coins that seem like pocket change could actually be worth thousands, even tens of thousands. Let's dive into the top 3 most valuable quarters. The Washington quarter has been around for a long time, since 1932, to be exact. It was introduced to honor George Washington's 200th birthday, and ever since, it's been a staple of U.S. currency. Over the years, the coin has seen its fair share of design changes, but one thing has stayed the same, that iconic eagle on the back of the coin. But there's one particular quarter from the 1980s that's especially worth paying attention to, the 1983 P Washington quarter. Why does the 1983 P quarter stand out? Well, first of all, it was minted in Philadelphia, and that's where the P mint mark comes from. But it's not just the mint mark that makes this coin special, it's the errors that happened during its production. While most coins are pretty straightforward, this one has a few imperfections that make it unique and super attractive to collectors. Some of the most notable errors in the 1983 P quarter are things like double dies and die cracks. Double dies happen when the coin gets struck by the die more than once, causing certain parts of the design to appear doubled, so you might see doubled letters or numbers. Die cracks happen when cracks form on the die itself, and when that die strikes the coin, those cracks get transferred to the coin's surface. Both of these types of errors are pretty rare, which is exactly why collectors love them. So, what about the value of these quarters? Well, the regular 1983 P quarter is only worth face value, 25 cents. But if you've got one that's in great condition, or has one of those rare errors, it could be worth a whole lot more. For example, a 1983 P quarter in near-perfect condition, graded at MS65, sold for a crazy $15,863 at an auction in 2014. That's a pretty solid return for a quarter that most people would just toss in their pockets without a second thought. If you come across a 1983 P quarter, it's worth checking it out closely. Look for signs of those minting errors, like doubled letters or cracks running through the design. Even if it's not perfect, a coin with those errors could still have more value than a regular, error-free quarter. If you find something that looks like it might be a rare find, getting it professionally graded could help you figure out how much it's really worth. The more pristine the coin, the more valuable it is, especially if it has one of those cool errors. But even a less-than-perfect 1983 P quarter with a noticeable mistake could be worth something to collectors. The 1983 P Washington quarter is a great example of how a mix of history, rarity, and just a little bit of luck can turn a simple coin into something worth keeping an eye on. So whether you're an experienced coin collector or just someone who enjoys a good find, this quarter is definitely worth paying attention to. The 1969 Washington quarter might not be the first coin that comes to mind when you think of rare finds, but it's one that has quietly gained attention in the coin collecting world over the last 14 years. You may be surprised to hear that this quarter has sold for anywhere from just $6 to an impressive $5,906, depending on its condition and grade. Let's take a closer look at why this coin has captured the interest of collectors and why its value has fluctuated so much. First, let's take a trip back to 1969. This was a year of change in the U.S. The country was embroiled in the Vietnam War, while the Apollo 11 mission was making headlines with the first manned moon landing. The Washington quarter, featuring George Washington's portrait on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, had been in circulation since 1932, and it was still made of 90% silver back in 1969. Silver was phased out in later years, so the 1969 quarter holds some historical significance in terms of U.S. coinage. However, what makes the 1969 Washington quarter stand out in the world of coin collecting today isn't just its history, but its condition. The coin was minted in large numbers, but as with all coins, some are just in better shape than others. This is where the grading system comes into play. Coins are graded based on their appearance, from the sharpness of their details to the lack of wear and tear. In the past 14 years, the value of 1969 Washington quarters has ranged widely, depending on their grade. For example, A coin graded at 64 on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, might only sell for around $6 or $10. But, as the grade climbs, so does the price. Coins graded at 65, 66, or 67 often sell for hundreds of dollars. In fact, in recent auctions, some of these coins have sold for well over $1,000. But it doesn't stop there. When you get into the higher grades, like 67 plus, the value of the 1969 Washington quarter can shoot up dramatically. A coin in this top-tier condition, essentially flawless, can go for thousands of dollars. In 2021, a 1969 Washington quarter with a grade of 67 plus fetched a staggering $5,906 at auction. That's a far cry from the face value of 25 cents, and it shows how much the coin's condition, rarity, and the interest of collectors can impact its price. Another factor that can affect the value of a coin like this is any potential minting errors. Coins with errors, such as double strikes, die cracks, or misaligned dies, tend to attract premium prices. If you're lucky enough to find a 1969 Washington quarter with one of these rare minting mistakes, its value could increase even further. That's why coin collectors are always on the lookout for these potential errors, as they can turn an ordinary quarter into something truly valuable. When you think of valuable coins, the 1967 Washington quarter might not be the first one to come to mind. But if you're a coin collector, you might be surprised to hear that this seemingly ordinary quarter has recently sold for an impressive $15,500. So, what makes this coin so valuable? Let's dive into the history, unique features, and the errors that have led to this coin's impressive value. Now, let's get into the specifics of the 1967 Washington quarter that makes it stand out. One of the key things collectors look for in any coin is its mint mark, which indicates where it was made. Most coins have a mint mark, either an D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. However, the 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark is particularly interesting. It was struck in Philadelphia, and it's rarer than you might think. While most quarters were made at the other mints, this one was produced in the Philadelphia Mint, where many of the coins were minted without a mint mark during this period. So, why does this matter? Coins with no mint mark, especially from specific years like 1967, are highly collectible. The rarity of this particular issue, combined with its historical significance as part of the transition from silver to copper-nickel, makes it a standout piece for collectors. These factors contribute to the high value of the coin, and recently, a 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark sold for an astonishing $15,500. But the value doesn't end there. As with many coins, errors can drive up prices even further. Washington quarters with minting flaws, such as double strikes, die cracks, or misaligned dies, can fetch even higher prices at auction. The rarity of these errors adds another layer of intrigue and value to the coin. So, if you have a 1967 Washington quarter lying around, it's worth checking for any of these mistakes. Even a small error could turn your coin into a big payday. Conclusion. So, there you have it. These 5 Washington quarters, ranging from the 1983 P to the 1967 no mint mark, show just how much value can be hidden in what seems like a simple 25-cent piece. Whether it's the coin's condition, minting errors, or rarity, these quarters remind us that sometimes the most seemingly ordinary coins can fetch extraordinary prices. If you're a coin collector, keep your eyes peeled, your next big find might be worth much more than you think.